buttons. It used to just be, start.
Yeah, now there's like 10 extra buttons. It's ridiculous.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, well, hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. And this evening, we're going to be cheersing out to Mr. George Wendt, everyone's favorite bar patron, Norm. And my problem is I already had a few drinks, and I'm starting to feel like Norm after a few drinks. But welcome, everyone. So thank you for stopping in. And yes, we are going to be drinking beer tonight. I guess we could break into booze, but I think beer is appropriate. I got a can.
I had one on hand. What beer do you have?
A Blue Moon Belgian White. I told Sherry to. Yeah, go ahead.
I think yours and my choices are two beers that Norm would not drink.
Well, that could be true.
Because I'm having a New Glarus raspberry tart.
Though I think George Wendt would drink either one of those without a problem.
I don't. That's a good question. I don't know.
He actually was he did drink a lot. It was big.
Oh, beer. I know. He was a big beer person, but I think he was just like beer, not
cooler, smaller. Yeah, it was kind of like yours was, or it was whatever you're pouring out of the tap. I'll take it.
Yeah.
So, before we go any further, Mike, do you want to tell these lovely people?
I would love to.
Co-op?
I would love
Spencer's joining us. He's not. Even if he's at work, that's even more exciting. What's up, Spence?
Put us on the big screen at the Costco. All right, we are Bar Cart Co-op, which is a collection of friends who create content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. The Bar Cart Co-op YouTube and Facebook pages have information about upcoming and past special shows, which happen about every quarter. From blind tastings to distiller panels to discussions of special collaborations and the usage of unique grains. The Bar Cart Co-op has educational and fun episodes for your enjoyment. And the oldest in the group is Distillers Talk, hosted by Christy Atkinson and Alan Bishop. It is a conversation with people from distilleries and distillery adjacent that gets into deep and sometimes off the rails and back again discussions with their interviews. New episodes arrive at the end of the work week. And if that is not nerdy enough, please check out One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. This is the show where Alan Bishop answers any questions about distilling and often puts them to the test. It could be individual grains, mash bills, equipment, and methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe. And then there is Bourbon Turntable, where they mix the love of music with the love of whiskey. There are conversations with musicians, writers, distillery folks, and common folks like us about music and whiskey. It releases every Wednesday on all your platforms, including YouTube. And after a hiatus, the Bourbon Turntable is starting to record once again. So be ready for that. Then we have If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which is a show about spirits and the paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained and the spiritual. Subscribe on Spotify to get all the seasons. And last, but certainly not least, we have the Whiskey Ring podcast with Mr. David Levine. David does good interviews. David takes great notes. David does good awards. David does good reviews. He does all the things that we won't do and many more.
That's true. At least some stuff.
David's a hoe. Well, that's what we're trying to say. No.
No. All right. So, there's a big TV in the break room. The Costco's closed on Tuesday. Well, what the hell?
Good for them.
Yeah,
they should be.
Yeah, a little bit.
Almost every place should be closed today.
Oh, and a happy Memorial Day to everyone out there, or remembrance, however you want to look at that. But I'm going to take a thought about that as well, too.
That's good beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Put it on me. I'm going to try one of the new gadgets, Mike. Did that do it? Instead of let it appear on screen.
Here, we'll make it float. New Glarus.
Oh, it's not. I hit a button.
It lies.
It lies. It was supposed to let us see your comments right on the screen for us. I don't know if you guys can, but oh wait, did it in the bottom corner? Oh, it's not happening though.
See, it might only be doing it for you.
Yeah, it's just good as the screen. That's the one. We'll do it the old school way. Damn technology. Yeah, that's what we meant.
Cast it to the neighbors. Okay, so I have a question. So, all right, so Cheers came out, I remember, in 82.
Yes.
So you would have been
2.
Okay. So when they were announcing the show, I remember, there was this whole new NBC lineup, and they had these commercials, and it's, they were memorable because I still remember them, but it had this person who, it was a woman, and she was talking about all the new shows, because it was always a big deal to announce the new shows in the lineup back in the day.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's a new show. But she had everything as a wrapped present. And so, and it was, Cheers, Family Ties, and there was another one. I don't remember now. God, what was it? Because they were the big ones that all had come out at the same time that season. And so they had this whole thing with the present of stuff coming out. And I remember watching it, and we watched Cheers from the first episode, and it was still one of, I'm almost 100% sure this was on the first episode, but there was almost nobody in the bar.
That's right.
And Coach answers the phone, and he's like, "Just a second. Ernie Pantuso. Is there an Ernie Pantuso here?" And somebody goes, "That's you, Coach, speaking." That's one of the absolute funniest damn things, that, because it's still, I mean, it's, yeah. And I have a video clip of that I like to share with people that I work with when they do stupid things. So it gets shared a lot. But no, the show is fun. And actually, and George Wendt, aside from being Jason Sudeikis' uncle and all that good stuff, went to college here in Kansas City. I don't think George finished, because I think that he had extracurricular activities. But he went to Rockhurst University down here, where 2 of my kids went, and I know he spent some time partying in the area. So yeah, we had there's a lot. I was thinking about other big Norm moments on the show, but then it was just all the ones. It's like, what's he going to say when he comes in? And there almost always something great, when he came walking in there. Oh,
and there was never the same question to him all the time. Like, there were different questions, so you get to fire back a different answer. There
was a couple ones, because I remember, Coach said, what's going in, or what's going on, Normie? And he goes, "No, let's talk about what's going in, Normie." And then, but then Woody had done one too, where he was just like, "What's going on, Mr. Peterson?" And he goes, "Let's talk about what's going in, Mr. Peterson." And then, I remember that they did a couple that were like that, but otherwise it was one of my favorites was like, "What's shaking, Normie?" It's like all 4 cheeks and a couple of chins.
The other one, like, it's a bit early for a beer there, Norm. Float a cornflake in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or there was another one too, where it's just like, said he wanted beer, and he said, "Well, it's a bit early for that, isn't it?" And they go, "Beer?" He goes, "No, stupid questions."
Yeah, like that part. Yeah, the quick little response at that point was something that I always liked about him, and looking at it from like a bar perspective, and the way I looked at Cheers, like historically. Though I was young, like you admit, my family was older. All my relatives were older, so I grew up a little older and watched older shows, not necessarily horror movies and stuff all the time, but I watched older shows. That's just the way it was. And I always thought of Cheers it was like the Friends before Friends. It was like the generation beforehand, where they didn't go to a coffee shop. Everyone was still at a bar. People would still stop there after work. There had been this little bit of a transition socially at that point. And perfectly, the intro set the theme for the whole show.
Yes.
Like that was one of the best intro songs for a show that set the theme for what you were doing. No matter what was going on, up, down, people having a good day, bad day, you were setting it so like tangentially everyone inside kind of cared about each other. And they showed it. They're going to give you shit too, because it was a different generation about whatever. But there'd be a point where they take the time and really give a care about you.
All right. So I think here we go. I think I got the shows that started in 1982.
Okay.
All right, hold on. 1982 was Cheers, Family Ties, had that one right. Taxi, when it moved from ABC, that one didn't count. What other ones here? Oh God, there has to be more. What about Hill Street Blues? When the heck did Hill Street Blues start? I would have thought that would have been in that. You know what? Hold on, I got a list here, but it's just listing for God's sakes, why would you?
Hey Neil, what's up? Paul, good to see
Mr.
you.
Neil. Okay. Knight Rider, Remington Steele, Saint Elsewhere. That's a lineup right there, man.
Yeah, I didn't. What is it? St. Elsewhere. I didn't get into that one too much, but obviously, who didn't love Knight Rider?
St. Elsewhere was a little ahead of its time. I think it was good. I remember liking it, but I think it was pre ER, but it had I can't remember his name on the show, but the actor's David Morse, who's like 6'6". He was Bruno in Green Mile. You'd recognize he was every time you saw a guy, it's like, oh, it's that guy. Really good character actor. Yeah, remember that was going, but yeah, some of those other ones, other shows is fantastic. But yeah, Cheers. Have you ever been to the Bull and Finch, the bar that it's based off of?
No, I have not. I haven't been to Boston, so
I went there in 93, 94 ish. And they didn't like people going to visit. There was a special spot so you can go buy your Bull and Finch t-shirt because you were one of those stupid people that watched it on TV, but they didn't really like you going. I mean, the locals, they didn't care for it.
Well,
didn't care for it. Kind of like the old lady that lives in the Breaking Bad house. She's not a fan.
How would it be like? In true Boston form, they don't like people not from Boston.
They don't like anybody. Yeah. Yeah. They'll let you know what's wrong with you before you have to figure it out yourself. So it's all good. But yeah, no, we I don't know that we ever missed an episode of Cheers ever. I couldn't even tell you if we ever missed because you couldn't miss it anyway.
Well, that was back when it was on at a certain time and you were there and you had to be there. Otherwise, you just missed it.
Yeah,
so it was back on like 3 months later, or 3-4 months later.
Yeah, at the end of the season, or if something happened, because then you're like, oh, something's up because they're playing a rerun, or it was during a sporting event or something like that. But yeah, they didn't play around with those.
That would have been sweet. Still, it would have been sweet.
I don't think Norm could have gotten behind. I don't know how Sam got behind the seat of that Corvette because he had to be like 6'2" I would assume.
Did we throw Magnum PI in this race?
Old Corvettes. Well, that's the other thing too. Yeah. Tom Selleck's like 6'5" or something.
Yeah, I'm like, let's put some other people in this race.
But at least in a Ferrari, you could, you would spend the money to move a seat back. You really can't in an old Corvette. You really can't move it because it's just all fiberglass. You don't cut that up.
Is that what Johnny Cash had? Where he had to crawl? He just laid down on the ground and crawled into it.
It was a Ferrari. He's showing how to get in a Ferrari. Yeah.
He's like, well, you just lay on the ground and you crawl in this way, and you roll out.
Yeah. Yeah, Jesse has now experienced Emily correcting him. Yes, because it is the Night Industries 2000.
True.
It is.
All right. So,
And shout out to anyone who thinks the Super Pursuit mode was crap. I thought it was kind of cool when I first saw it, when it was on, but it really wasn't that good.
it was just a jump, man. The jump was cool. And to be honest, the light in the front, that was good enough for half the people. See, if it would have gone.
Yeah.
I'd have been happy with the car that did that at that.
Talking car. It had lights on the inside, for God's sakes.
All right, sorry. Off course. I left.
We're off course. All right, so
it happens.
some of the other ones I remember. Well, of course, everyone always says there remembers the what's it? It's a dog eat dog world out there, and I'm wearing Moco and underwear.
Yep.
Yeah.
You had that one down too.
Yeah. How's life treating you, Normie? It's like I slept with its wife. Yeah.
No, but there was such a good episodes that they had with that when they got like walled in. The other people like walled the bar in and stuff.
Yeah. Well, they the later years when they'd have their prank games with Gary's Old Town Tavern. And then it was the cranky old fart upstairs at the at Melville's that they were always messing around with. I think that was mostly the Rebecca years when they were doing all that. But that was pretty good stuff. You only saw Vera one time, and that was at the Thanksgiving episode where they had the huge food fight, and they had everyone was there doing Thanksgiving together, and then Vera comes walking in, and she's got like a pie covering her face, so you don't see her face. You just see Vera. Yeah.
Doesn't be like, I don't know if I ever remember seeing her ever. Yeah.
No, she never showed. And then there was another one that it was either, it might have been Frasier, where they were like, oh yeah, he goes, oh yeah, Vera was going to come here, but so that's why I didn't tell her. Neil, I want to see a picture with you with that Firebird and you.
That'd be sweet.
You have to have a leather jacket while you're driving that Firebird, and I want to see that. See Neil doing the David Hasselhoff.
I don't even know what that. I see him just like leaning up against it. Like
that's right.
Legs sticking out, giving that eye wink.
Yep. T-tops.
Oh, okay. Weirdly enough, this beer is tasting terrific, which could be a problem.
Oh, this one's great. I'm actually going to be finished with it shortly, so I'm going to slow down. I
don't dabble in beer too much anymore because I get bloated. But damn, this is tasty.
That's my thing with beer. I like a beer, but Guinness is about the least as far as like what it'll do for bloating and stuff, but it's rich. And some of the other ones like big stouts, I like a good stout, but yeah, this one is pretty carbonated, very concentrated flavor. But New Glarus, I don't think they could mess up beer if they wanted to.
No.
You Wisconsinites, I know you guys drink a bunch of other stuff, but
hey, I'm proud of that one. That's one of the ones that there's not many things that you have that other places in the country will come to your state.
Yeah, they're normal beer's good, New Glarus, but I tell you what, that fruit beer is spectacular. This one, the raspberry tart, the Belgian red, the serendipity, the apple, delicious. He did have tea. Yes, Neil. I mean, you almost had to have T-tops anyway. It really wasn't that much of a choice. I remember when I was out of college, my mom had gotten an 85 Olds Cutlass that had T-tops. And I got to tell you, they were pretty badass. I remember borrowing it a couple times and actually borrowed it on my first isn't it a date with my wife. I drove over to Omaha in that thing. So I didn't think my car was going to make it to Omaha. So I was like, well, can I borrow? Oh yeah, you can take the car over there. So yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So that's the car that closed the deal for you. Sealed the deal.
No. No, but I'm pretty sure I would have taken the T-tops out at some point with that. But you had to take them out and you had to put them in the carrier so nothing would happen to them when you were traveling with them. Either that or you just leave them at home.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of like doing a Wrangler. You might as well, if it's sunny out, they're not going with you. And
T-tops are a lot heavier than you think they are. I mean, it's glass and metal.
It is.
It's thick tempered glass and metal, and they were heavy, and it was like, don't scratch mom's tops.
You know, I see what you're doing is like, shut up. What do you mean? Like, don't talk to me till we get this off of here.
Well, because it wasn't just T-tops. It had T-top with the Landau roof. You know, with the half vinyl top on. Oh, it was pretty swank, man.
I guess so.
It was a swank ride.
Yeah, fancy.
Yeah, velour seats. It's pretty sweet.
Make Shannon jealous.
Well,
John. I think John's the one that got her that cool jumpsuit. That was crazy.
Well, Shannon would, if she would be wearing a velour tracksuit on velour seats.
So would Heather Manley. I mean, when we were tempting her with a velour like tire cover thing for her Jeep.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which
right.
She does not have anymore. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So Norm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious that people that are tuning in that, well, because I'm looking at ages here. Jesse's not old enough. Sorry, Jesse. Neil is old enough to remember it. I'm curious well, of course, a lot of people might have seen it in reruns. What their favorite Normism was, or did you have a favorite Norm episode?
Well, the last one's easy, but that's because the end is funny. He has to talk with Sam, and he's like, "Why don't you just go home to Vera and do what comes naturally? Wake her up and do what comes naturally to you." And he's like, "What? Have her watch me eat a bucket of chicken wings?" No, I don't know. I'm trying to think of it. I know that the Cliff one. There's one of Cliff I can remember vividly that I did not expect that sticks with me is when he spent the night over at Carla's house when she moved into some new place, and I think he ended up staying the night there, not with her, but just there. I think that all started. And I know there was one time I think they all ended up at Fraser's house.
Well, there was one, Norm hurt his back and then was kind of milking it because he was getting weighted on hand and foot by Fraser and Lilith.
No, I just dug the whole demeanor and what that like meant to a bar to have like someone. It was like the mainstay at the bar, like that cornerstone patron. Yeah,
he had his seat at the bar.
Yeah, and there are bars that people that have that, and I don't know. He was fun, you know what I mean. Even though he had a little bit of depressed tone with his constant remarks, it seemed a little depressing and getting run over by life and stuff. But there was an honesty to it, and he'd go on to have a good time.
Yeah,
but loving the bar stool on that spot and the place and the people. I don't know. That's what drew me to it. It was more like it was the first time I saw like a second family, like an extended family where you go out when you're meeting people. And it's like, oh, at the same time you do have these interactions. It's fun and funny, but you end up caring about these people that you're just having a beer with because, well, they were there much more frequently than we would be allowed to today. I would say there's not many everyday bar drinkers there. Like you said the one time, some people are kind of worried about him. This guy was here 11 hours with me yesterday.
Yeah. There's a guy, there's people there. When we moved on this block 30 some years ago, there was this girl down the street who was, she was like 10 years old and she was she was the street informant. Told you everything that was going on with everybody.
The Gladys Kravitz of the neighborhood.
Yes, a little Gladys Kravitz. Her name was Megan, and so she would. She's long gone, but there was a lady lady and her daughter that lived in a house about halfway down the block, and she had a live-in boyfriend, and something happened. They had to call the cops and all this other stuff. Anyway, it was just all these things. And of course, everyone's like, oh, what's going on? Whatever. So then Megan's has to come by and tell everyone about all the stuff. And she goes, oh yeah, that guy's just trouble. Just problems. My dad says every time he's at the bar, that guy's always there. And as it like to say that this guy is an alcoholic, but then we're like, well, that means your dad's at the bar all the time too.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, how to make sure? Yeah, yeah.
Oh yes,
yes.
That is an excellent one.
Yeah, Neil, that was a good one too. Yeah, what you up to? Wait, if I were 11 feet tall, that was good.
But no, that one's good, Jesse. Because I was gonna say, I remember them explaining that, like, oh, that makes you smarter, and you're like, well, I guess, but no.
The bar, yeah, Cliff, the bar know-it-all. That's pretty good. Yeah, I remember the ones actually, which it's actually, back in the 80s, the TV show or something was going to make fun of people, people that now referred to as marginalized or other things. I'm trying to be middle of the road here, but anyway, I remember them not making fun of, but there was 2 episodes. There was one where Norm pretended to be gay, so then he could do painting work for maybe it might have been Frasier and Lilith's friends, and so they're like, how are you getting all these gigs, whatever? And I remember him saying, oh, I just keep saying Liza Minnelli this and Liza Minnelli that, and it was he didn't like where a lot of shows at the time would have really leaned into it and really done a lot of stuff. And then there was the one where everyone was worried about, people were worried about a gay bar moving in or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or something. No. And Norm was just being real paranoid. And he's like, you know how it starts, Sam? Ferns. Starts with ferns. And Diane the whole time had these plants that she had gotten in who were gay that brought in. They'd been there the whole time and they were acting like the angry mob, so to speak, because of all this stuff. And Sam was just like, I'm not going to be bullied. We're going to have these people there. I don't care who they are. And then at the end, Diane reveals that there was these guys that had been here the whole time and being a part of it. And then they all lean over and they give Norm a kiss on the cheek. and Norm's like, that was better than Vera.
Kind of scrolled down a bit hard there.
I know. Don't pace yourself, man.
We're half an hour in. I think I can start going out. I think I can start finishing this off here.
I remember the one too. It was a Frasier one when he was on there for a while and the guys went camping or something and Norm had disappeared. And I just remember Frasier saying, I'd hate to meet the wolf that could drag off Norm. I don't remember the rest of the episode, but
I know, but yeah, I don't know. Like he just was he was a mellow, the cool guy at the bar too, not just there like the quick quibs, almost Riled Reynoldsy before with a drier deadpan deliver.
Yeah, like, and he gave Cliff his space too, knowing Cliff was a know-it-all, knowing he was wrong, but he gave him his space about a lot of stuff.
I forgot what it was. One time he just bet Diana, I'll bet you $10 he knows an answer. 20, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's $20. Yeah, just that was one of those like just excellent writing and it could have just been stories of what people did. When you're younger or going to a bar or more frequent at that point, it could have just been stories of what happened. But I mean, they did a good job of pulling you into what you think was going on.
Yeah,
with that and making you feel like a part of said bar.
Yeah, and everybody knew that. Everyone knew Norm. Everyone knew when he walked in. Of course, everyone watching the show when he come walk in, we'd say Norm too. But
Well, and you wanted, and that was what you wanted to have happen at a bar at some point. I mean, I saw that there was a point where I'm like, I wish I had a bar like this where I walk in and everyone's like, "Hey," like, and it happens once in a while. Once in a while, you go to a place for a while and there's some people there or you're meeting people there already who've had a few drinks, and you walk in and you get that and you're like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
He reminds me of my buddy Doug at work, who's a little bit older. Like he always has like some quick shot about something or whatever that's happening. I'm like, you're very close to George the way you play your cards. So when he comes in, I usually do yell, Doug. You're like, this makes me feel homely. Oh, and since we're already on this week and coming up this Saturday, there's Distill America. If you have not bought tickets, you should. You should go meet us there. We're going to be there. We'll be doing things Friday and Saturday when we're down there. What else is going on in town in Madison that weekend? There's
a Madison Irish Fest.
That is true, and Adawan Distilling is having something there on Friday night. Saturday it moves out to the actual grounds. Jerry Seinfeld is playing on Friday night. A little expensive for my taste, no offense, but I don't like nosebleeds to be $120. So
yeah,
that one. So there's a festival.
Not sure what that one was. Hopefully it wasn't anything that broke.
But then it sounded like it rolled. I like teetered on the edges as it came to
it was something ceramic, I believe.
Oh, I know, I could tell that. It was dish. It was Pyrex. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So no, so yeah, next weekend they have that. Saturday I think is mostly just the event. Oh, afterwards at the arcade bar I wanted to stop at last year, Jay Henry is having an event there. They'll be giving away bottles and other stuff. I do plan on attending there because I like arcades. So I'm going to go there at some point. I wanted to go last year. So.
Apparently the corgi tried to carry a plate.
At least you let them watch them do it.
Well, it had to have had some food on it.
Well,
and I'm guessing by the time of night, it's time to give CBD to the old dog with dementia. So if there was a little bit of peanut butter left on that plate, it was fair game.
The young one comes in for the little tail bits of leftovers.
Oh, he'll go for any scraps of anything. He'll watch, because the other dog, he's an old man. He's over 16 years old. He's gonna spill. He's gonna and he's a dog, so stuff's gonna fall out of his mouth. But he's also an old man. So it'd be an old man, so like a piece will fall out, and the corgi will he'll drool while he's watching food. I mean, he'll drool, but he'll watch the old man and he'll just be looking like, you gonna pick that up, old man? Like with every possible speck. He'll just go and he'll be watching him, watch it hit the ground and be like, dibs. Yeah, you can just see it. You can see his face all the time with this stuff. He is.
Oh, that's funny. All right, other George Wendt things. Sorry, him as Mr. Swerski as a super fan, as a Chicago Bears.
Yeah, Bob Swerski.
That whole bit was great, and it ran for a decent amount of time where they played off of the different teams really well between the Bulls and the Bears and even the Blackhawks a little bit, not too much. But, man, that was when there were things with that part of it afterwards in, like, the commercial ads where they took Peyton Manning and dipped him in, like, a bathtub of au jus.
That was I liked
him.
Yeah, I like the. Well, I always thought Peyton Manning had a good sense of humor about it, but I thought when they brought them on in for the series of commercials with the with the actual NFL, I was like, I mean, you kind of had to, just because the food on that freaking table. They would, it was just sausages and ribs and sausages and more sausages and cheese and beer and everything else. God, it was just.
So only on your third heart attack this year.
Yeah. And then Farley having a heart attack and going.
When he was.
I just had another one.
Yeah. When he's yoking and he coughs up like a steak.
Yeah.
But once again, as a caricature of the area, but also at the same time, there was a bit of reality to that set of Chicago fans.
Well, yeah, and as much as they were about Ditka. Yeah. Okay, here's one. Godzilla versus Ditka. Like, okay, but Godzilla's got a baseball bat. Still Ditka.
He just had it, and then he was an executive producer on a bunch of stuff. I didn't get too much into some of the other things or deep into that, but I don't know. I mean, I think just to have sounds sad, but if you can have one iconic role out of your lifetime, sometimes that typecasts you and sets you into an area which limits you. But I mean, I would easily take that. There are so many people that didn't have a show that went on for, I don't know, that one I'm going to say 8 years, I think. I thought it was 7.
Cheers?
Yeah.
Cheers was like 9 or 10 years, excuse me. But the other thing, too, is with the stuff that he was, to just be on Cheers alone, and the fact that he was recognized from a TV show from the 80s for the rest of his life. I mean, it goes to show the power of the show, and it was a great show itself, but his character on it, he wasn't just some dude on the show. I mean, he was freaking Norm,
He had that thing where he went out to bars and people would norm him, and it would be free beers and other stuff. And what did I hear? Oh, there was some other guy. Oh, it was the movie Can't Hardly Wait, and it was nowhere near as big, but there was some kid in there that yelled something about the beer has gone bad in the movie, and he goes, well, I go out for the longest time and I hear the beer has gone bad, and everyone's getting me a beer. And it's like, just get me a mixed drink. Get me a fucking whiskey. I hate beer. I haven't liked beer since I was 20. I don't want another beer. Get me a mixed drink. But no, just like you said, to have something be so iconically ingrained in, let's call it society in general. Like that's not just like an imagery of it. Like you actually affected people enough that if someone says Norm, chances are you're thinking of him. Because there's not many other Norms either. I've not met many Normans throughout being alive. I don't know if I've met any. So.
Well, then this is just Cheers related. Was listening to his interview with Jim Jeffries, and he was talking about, because he had a TV show, and George Ratzenberger was on it, and John Ratzenberger, and he went out with him one time and went out with Ratzenberger, and Ratzenberger's just like, we're not going to pay for any drinks. And he's just like, well, he goes, no, go out there. And he's like, come with me. We're not going to have to pay for any drinks. And he said, you can find these bars. And they're just like, yeah, I go to this bar. And he's like, no. And you go into like the divier of the bar and you walk in there and then everyone, hey, and then you don't have to buy any drinks because they see him. And he's like, hey, you just kept going to these places. And everyone was just buying him stuff all the time because they recognized him from Cheers. So I can imagine George Wendt would be the same way. But
I would think so.
Yeah.
Oh, I might be getting to the point of enough beer for me, so I'm gonna have a couple more drinks and maybe call it. That's why I only have so much beer.
I've only got the one beer here, so I've when we're ready to cheers out, I'm saving the last bit on here. So, but yeah, and he was in Fletch. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Like I said, if you go back, I think he had like 156 credits or something. That's one of those things. It's hard to go back.
Yeah, especially he wasn't just about like a lot of people in the 80s, just like, I just work, I'm just in a bunch of stuff.
I need a paycheck.
Yeah. But
I'm working, but I'm not getting paid well.
Yeah. But I mean, once he's in Cheers, you're like, because in that, I could only imagine it seems it's probably been in syndication since forever.
That would
And
be
so
the nice thing
and
about
I can imagine there's probably a really good syndication check because he was probably on almost every episode.
I would say so.
I'd say there's probably very few he wasn't on.
I think that what him coming in might have been one of the main things. I was watching one of them where it showed like all of his entrances, and
Sorry.
You know, season 1, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, and it just kept going through them. So it's pretty crazy. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna grab my gear. Oh, go ahead.
He could make an entrance.
He could. I'm gonna say he's gonna be missed. I just miss the imagery of him. Like it's one of those people that made me sad, and it was just a character of a person. But I feel like he's one of those people that I feel like he pulled more of himself into the character and just let that be the character rather than faking it.
Yeah. There's also for people that like to listen to podcasts or watch them because Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson do one together. And they started off interviewing like everyone associated with Cheers as much as possible. And they did one with George Wendt early on. And of course they were talking about by the time Woody came on, of course they all like to have fun anyway. And I remember when they aired the last episode live and then they showed up on Leno and they were just hammered. Just hammered. And people were like, oh, they're drunk. Yeah, well, they are. But apparently, especially once Woody got on there too, because he could party up, as could Mr. Kelsey Grammer. There was a lot of times that they would be up all night. And it wasn't beer. And they were telling some of those stories, about that and how just like, I don't know how we got up and started working, anyway. It was pretty funny listening to them tell these stories from way back because now they're Ted Danson's almost 80.
And he's another one that's going to have a pretty good career when you look back at it over the things he's been in.
Oh yeah, his has started over more than once.
Yeah,
with other things where you're just like, oh, Ted Dan, oh, this is good. He'd be in something and it was just good. But it turns out he's pretty good at interviewing. He's a horrible introvert. And he said he's the kind of person at a party where he would be really happy just facing the corner and then trying to leave early. But then just to talk with people, he asks questions kind of in a nervous way. And even his old friends, like the way he does it, because it's just not his thing.
Maybe you feel like he's prying into someone's life a bit, and like I don't know if I want to go here, but.
But I recommend the Ted and Woody podcast, and definitely check out the one with George Wendt on there because it was pretty good, because they definitely had some old war stories, but
it's fun. I like that.
Good stuff.
All right, so I think that winds up the show for us tonight, mainly because I gotta have one more drink, and I think I'm done with beer tonight. But no show next Monday because we're going to have Distill America and you're going to be driving home and Mitch Morgan will be driving home. And that'll just be a lot, I think.
So the week after would be Distill Recap.
This will be a recap.
Yeah.
The 21st, we'll be having Knowlton House on where we discuss some of their products. I'm going to get a hold of them this week too here since it's already Tuesday. And start working on that. But yeah, it's a couple of things in the works for coming up. And if you're going to be down in Madison, get a hold of us. If you're getting a hold of me, text me or get a hold of me on Messenger because I have Cellcom and that thing's all fucked up. I can't get phone calls. I can maybe sort of give them but if you text me or messenger me, that is sadly the best way to get a hold of me because of that issue. I just don't think they want to pay the ransom on the other half of what they have to pay.
You should do the Ryan Reynolds Mint Mobile.
I'm tempted, but we got to switch everyone in the family over that. So, I almost thought that was part of what the purpose was. I'm like, maybe they were doing too well, and one of the competitors was like, "Here's your problems. Everyone's going to leave you now." That's what I'd do. I don't know how you get a mass switch to someone otherwise. Everyone else just charges the same special. It's like going with internet. You can.
Yeah, everyone comes up with their all their BS fees. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Here it's $70 a month, but somehow it's $110.
Yeah.
So whatever. All right. Sorry about that. I wandered off topic there for a second, but so if you're going to be in Mass next week, we look forward to seeing you coming up. I'm just happy to be off, so it'll be exciting. Mike, I can't wait to see you. For everyone else out there, remember, it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of beer tonight. Cheers, everyone. Beer.